the agenda for today, we're gonna have a small talk, and I ask our managers to answer this question: why I'm keeping getting rejected. So a lot of this is very common question from candidates. They keeping applying, but they getting rejected, and they are not really sure. So we'll try to bring up this topic, and we'll talk about it. It will take us about 30 minutes, and then another mock interviews will be about 1 hour and 30 minutes. So total today is going to be for 2 hours. Be prepared. We're going to record this session. That's pretty much it. Let me give you the idea how it works. So we have two questions that our candidates should be prepared. Tell me about yourself. That's going to be limited for 1 minute. And what did you do on the last project is going to be limited with the 3 minutes. Then all our managers will have a follow-up questions. And then we're going to give a very briefly feedback what was well and what they should improve for their performance, okay, and overall feedback. And I want to welcome our today's managers. I'll give you guys just a couple minutes. Just tell us about yourself. Rocio Montes, she's a staff software engineer in Intuit. It's Rocio. Hi.
Hi, how's everybody doing? My name is Rocio Montes, and yes, a staff software engineer at Intuit. I lead the open source and inner source initiatives at Intuit, and I have worked in TurboTax in previous roles. Nice to be here.
Awesome, thank you. And we have Sergey Sparks. He's a senior software engineer and manager at Oracle. Sergey.
Hello, my name is Sergey, and I'm here representing as well as Oracle, also the big cloud computing systems, cloud providers, and we'll be happy to assist you guys with getting better in your skills.
And we also have Adil Mansour, quality assurance manager at ChowNow.
Yes, happy to be here. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Adil. I lead the quality engineering team at ChowNow. All the QA engineers and STATs report to me, and looking forward to the session today.
Awesome, thank you. And Chris Wingwood, he probably will join a little bit later. He's a mobile QA automation manager at ProGem. All right, guys, so let's talk about it. Why I'm getting rejected, right? This is a very common question. Let me stop sharing the screen here. So imagine, like, let me put this way. You probably see a lot of resumes, right? And you have, can you tell, like, what is the most common mistakes that people still doing no matter what, and they got rejected just because of that? Who want to start with this one?
One of the things that always jump to my mind when I see a resume that has way too many technologies listed, to me, that signals that the person pretty much doesn't go deep or is not knowledgeable enough of one technology. So I think, like, an advice that I always give everyone that is building a resume is to list the ones that you are most familiar with, and the ones that you feel more strong about, just so that hiring managers and talent acquisition reps can really understand what are your strengths and focus on getting you the right job.
Okay. Sergey, what do you think?
I would say probably the most probable way to be rejected is that your resume will not even get to the hiring manager. I would say if you have the success of getting resume in the hands, or at least communicating with hiring manager, it's at least 2/3 of what is required to get hired to the big organization. Because usually hiring managers' time it's pretty limited, And we have a lot of recruiting departments who are trying to protect and try to do like a manual filter out of somebody who they think not even close. So like, why spend time if the person doesn't even know HTML because it's not on his resume?
Mm-hmm.
So try to pass the initial filter of like non-technical people judging you if you're good enough.
Adil, what you can say from your perspective?
I think the most important, like your resume is, basically you're guiding the reader. So what's really helpful and easy is if the things that you want to highlight for that position are at the top. That really helps. When I love the new trend because in the past the resumes used to be just 3 years experience, 5-page resume. So it really helps to keep it spiffy, keep it condensed, and highlight the things that you want to highlight. If you list a lot of things, like she was mentioning, if you list things on your resume, and then that might, as a recruiter or as a manager, that might catch my eye, but then you don't talk about them in your experience. That could also be another reason why your resume gets rejected.
Guys, I was talking recently to one QA manager at one company, and he told me just basic stuff. He said, yeah, the most common mistakes, and we emphasized actually last time, right? Like typos in their resume, or he said like 2/3 of resumes that he's getting, they're just horrible. That's what he said. They just, it's it's like guys, they just did their first draft and they just throw it, right? And a lot of irrelevant resumes got rejected, or like, that's another thing actually, which is kind of interesting, right? Especially, I would say this question would be, and I understand like different companies, they have different policies, but what to do for people who want to transition from different field, from different, let's say he is not in QA or he is not in software development and he want to join as a QA. Does this person has a chance? What do you think?
I would say if they're going to have a chance. So, everything we do, in life, there's a chance, there's a timing to it, for sure. You don't know where your resume might get picked up, but if you do want to have a chance where you don't have experience in QA specifically, you have to be able to highlight those things that you're doing that are not work experience related. So a resume of somebody who is trying to join QA or is freshly graduate, you need to include some examples, whether it's blogs you're writing, it's your GitHub profile, right? A recruiter or manager might look at that. Like, two things: you're differentiating your resume from all the other people who are trying to get into QA or who don't have work experience in QA. And the other thing is you want to give them some example, some reason to move you up to the next level, to give you a call back. If those examples aren't there, QA engineer jobs, the inbounds are huge. Like you could post a position and within a few days you might get 90, 100 resumes. How are you differentiating yourselves from other people who have similar background and experience as you is what you need to focus on if you want to have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Right. What do you guys think?
For me, I think that one of the things that I used to do when I was looking for a different position, I would definitely tailor my resume to the position that I am applying, right? Because there are so many experiences that you have and so many skills, different, technologies, like I mentioned, that you know of, but you don't want to give away a 5-page resume. So definitely adjusting and highlighting what they are looking for that position in your resume would actually help out. So, if you're new and you see that the position requires certain tooling, then definitely, if you know them, of course, definitely mention those and try to focus all of the descriptions of your previous experience around what this position is looking for, just so that they can find it relevant. And that doesn't mean that you're lying, you're just pretty much focusing your resume on what they're looking for. Definitely, it's a lot more time. It takes, if you are going to personalize your resume for each company, but you have to be on your A game if you really want to get their attention.
Yeah, and I see Chris join us. Yeah, Chris, he's a QA automation manager at Project. And Chris, yeah, we basically are talking about like most common mistakes, why people got rejected even before actually getting to the interview. I got a lot of direct messages like, Evgeny, I'm keeping applying. I was applying for about like 3 months, 6 months, but I didn't get anything. And definitely he is doing something wrong, because at the same time, I know people who is actually also applying pretty much on the same page, but they getting the response, they getting the interviews, and some of them even getting hired. So that's interesting thing, right?
Yeah, sorry for being late too, but I would say above anything, if they're not getting any form of communication back, they had a typo in their resume. It's almost guaranteed. A typo in a QA resume is it's a garbage resume almost every single time. Your job that you're applying for is attention to detail. If you can't have enough attention to detail, it's the most important piece of paper that you're going to send to a job, forget it. But might as well have applied for anything else, because it's not going to happen. And I know when we did this the first week, that was we hammered that a lot on people who were interviewing with us. We were like, hey, you got a typo in your resume. This probably wouldn't have flown at the time. And like, we were trying to be nice, but the fact of the matter is nobody's going to pull a resume that's got a typo in it for a QA position.
Exactly, and that's what I said. Like, people still keep doing this. They still applying. They didn't check their resume with a typo. I mean, okay, I understand. Like, some people have. It's not the first language, for example, right? Like, for me, I use like app Grammarly all the time. It's like my best friend for me. Also, like, if I would do the resume right now, I would pay it for to someone who can actually do the proofreading, right? It's not that expensive. On Fiverr, it's like $5 to $15, basically a cup of coffee, something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I even, especially for me, being, English my second language, back when I was looking for jobs, I would ask my native English speakers to just give, friends actually, to just give it a read, to give my resume a read. It doesn't, yes, there are services and you pay, and they might be even more helpful because they can, increase some words and give you some special language. But, just have a friend proofread it with you. It's something that could be useful.
totally.
Yeah.
Guys, Sergey, you want to add something?
Yeah, so like think about when you're trying to change your resume for the specific company, try to think like this as a scoring points. So let's say that you're going to the cloud company. So probably they care about the regional and global division. Probably they care about the maybe like a system design where you have experience with working with a cluster, with a server, with a node, and like all the things that comes to your mind, and then put yourself in the shoes of the hiring manager and see like if your resume have at least like 2 out of these 10, at least 3 out of these 10. Try to bring the hot point that is relevant to these positions, and maybe downplay and maybe even remove experience that you don't feel at least tangential to your goal.
Totally agree. Guys, what do you think? Like, how can they bypass the requirements, especially for new people. Again, I guess being new is the most challenging thing in any field. Whatever you do, it's the hardest part just to start. But how would you, what would you advise like for bypass this requirement? Because as I see in the job description, like even for junior QA or even for internship, they require like 1 hour or 1 year of experience. How you can get this a year of experience? At least one or like 1 to 3, right? And we all understand it's impossible. So what do you think, basically?
An idea that I always give people who ask this is open source. And recently, since I took the role as lead for open source heading into it, I have realized the potential that this can bring to people who have no experience on the enterprise, on an enterprise environment. There are many projects out there that are looking for, help with testing. If it's not automation, it can still be manual testing, right? And then creating issues and documenting the steps to recreate them. And that's up for everybody to see. And also, if you do have that side of you where you're not just QA, but you could also write some automation, then definitely open source can allow you to do that. So it can bring those two opportunities for people that have automation skills and those who are still on doing regression testing manually.
Rocio, can you actually maybe send us your examples, or maybe if you have some, I think people would love to see it. Guys, whoever just joined here to our Zoom meeting, Alexia, could you please post the Slack channel? So in the just join to our Slack channel. I will post the recording there as well. And yeah, Rocio, you can post the links in the mock interviews channel as well.
Yeah.
That would be a great resource. For me, for example, I had this experience. I used to do projects on UTest, and UTest, I think it was a great. I think it's still a great tool. Not just getting the experience, but you actually can make some money. Not big one probably from the beginning, but still, you will get experience and you will get paid. At least you will definitely know how it is like to do testing. Maybe. And obviously, from company to company is different experience. What do you guys? Do you have any other inputs, like suggestions, how they can get experience?
So, Evgeny, my wife is trying to break into the QA industry as well. She has no experience, and we've been doing different exercises here in how do we relate the QA field to things that you do every day, right? Just because you don't have a title that says QA on it doesn't mean that you're not doing quality checks on everyday things that you do in your current roles. So taking the time to go back through your job's history, while it may not be relevant to the QA field specifically, showing or demonstrating how what you did in that role is relevant is a good way to show that you understand the processes involved in QA, and might get you through that first step. There are some people that just have hard requirements, and those you're not going to be able to get through hard requirements. But if you can show that you've even if you worked at a fast food restaurant and you're like, okay, all I was the line cook. Well, the line cook had to make sure that the grill was clean, and that every day we had a checklist that we ran to make sure that at the end of the night the gas was off, this was done, this was done, this was done. Understanding those checklists and how they're relevant and why we do them in QA for final sign-off for a project or any of these things, in combination with other education. There's lots of things like Evgeny brought up for UTest, programs that you can join to just get the background that you need to understand the terminology. And I don't know, there's a lot of things like that I think are really beneficial.
By the way, Chris, is she still in the market?
She is, but right now, because of COVID and everything, I think everybody's on the market. It's going to be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
tough fight for it, no matter who you are or how experienced you are. Please understand that it's going to take time for everyone. I don't think
definitely.
that there's a shortcut at this time.
Yeah, there's no shortcut.
I think one of the advantages of just everybody, this maybe the silver lining, maybe not, but everybody being online is before, if you wanted to break into QA engineering field and you were, you were not flexible about moving, it was tougher because, somebody in, in a tech hub in Wisconsin maybe might be more willing to take a chance on a new person. But if you're living in a big city, that might be hard for you. So now opening your search up wider, where some of these companies are, if they have like maybe temp QA engineering jobs, or maybe they're all remote now, I think that helps a little bit because supply and demand. There's a demand there, maybe not enough supply. Now, as they open up more remote, look for not just the companies near you in your geographical area, but expanding beyond that.
That's actually a great point. Even in this tough situation, in terms of being flexible for the location, is getting much more better. I know, like, some companies, they start hiring even remote positions then before they didn't even consider, right? I think that's a great point. I mean, guys, don't limit yourself to your region. That's what Adil's saying. Sergey, do you have any suggestions or like tips, clues?
Well, I noticed in the chat we also have a problem on this area that if you want to go to the industry, but you see that all companies are hiring with experience in this industry or in this profession or in this role, what should you do? And I would say that probably not every company hiring with experience. So when I was suggesting to some people to switch from like career track to the career track, for example, if you guys know the such a website as a Crunchbase, where you can see like new companies, where you can see like startups in your area that are hiring or looking for investors or looking for all sorts of things. Even with like free account, you can see like companies nearby if you're physically important. If you're just like in this city, in this country, you can find the companies like below 50 people who got some rounds, who got some money, but unfortunately they don't have HR department. And if you don't have experience and you're willing to help them, they will be more than happy. If it costs them only like 10% of their time of the manager, and he's saying to you, okay, like join one of my team members, screen share for a while to see if it's for you. If it's for you, like let's work for us for 3 months for free, and then we will hire you. Like small companies have no issues of doing this. If you go to the big companies that already have a website, that already have a company name / careers and associated recruiter, they're not going like to spend time on the even free help because it's too expensive for them. And if you're looking for startup, yeah, like as long as you need experience and not a brand name on the resume, startup will be happy with you.
I think also gaming industry is pretty flexible in terms of requirements for the, like, they pretty open for new guys. Obviously, they don't pay that much, but you shouldn't expect that. But entry level is pretty common for the gaming industry, as far as I know. Also, entertainment industry as well, like Disney, for example.
Yeah, just remember as part of gaming and entertainment that a lot of those jobs are contract jobs by the game or by the project you're working on. So you don't go into that field thinking like, oh yeah, this is totally going to be me forever. It doesn't. You'll hear probably a lot of stories from people who've tried to work in games for a long time that it's a lot of moving around and uncertainty. So get the experience you need and find something that really suits your capabilities.
In fact, actually, I start my career from the gaming industry by myself. But I was there, yeah, I was, and you too, right, Chris?
Yep.
And I was there for about a year. That's how I started. All right, I think that was very interesting, guys. Let's have like 3 more minutes. You guys have any other input, and we can start actually with the mock interviews. All good? All good. Okay, we have candidate number 1. Let me do this way. I'm making, let me put the timer. So each candidate has 20 minutes maximum total. First question will tell me about yourself, which will be limited about 1 minute, but it's not very strict. And another question will be tell us about your last project. Candidate number 1, are you ready?
Good morning. Yes, I'm ready.
You're ready. Please share your resume. And also, we have today 5 candidates, guys. 1 candidate is actually a student, and I believe candidate number 1 is a bootcamp graduate. And we have 4 other candidates. They have actually experience. So we should have all appropriate expectation, right? Hold on. Let me put the timer. All right, candidate number 1, please tell us about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Elena, and about 1 year ago, I decided to become a quality assurance engineer. I finished a course for manual QA engineer. Then I couldn't stop because I really liked this, and I took few more courses for SQL, JavaScript. Then I finished automation course, and finally I got internship for 6 months, and I started to practice my knowledge. So it is going to be end and yeah, next week. So I'm going on the market. So just pretty about myself.
Okay, so can you tell us like what did you do on your study project or your current project that you was doing in the bootcamp?
Yes, of course. Now on my internship, it is SAS Model Cloud Web Application, and as a manual QA test engineer, I'm writing test cases, run them. If I found some bugs, I report them in Jira. So I check all data of devices on website correctly and have no bugs. So as a part of my daily duty was a test I should perform, collect all kinds of data reports, logs, and so on, just like this. And a couple weeks ago, I just asked my manager to start practice my automation skills, and he let me do it. So now I'm writing automation tests, and I'm using tools such as Selenium, Java, JUnit, and Maven. So just like this.
All right. Managers, please follow up questions. Who want to be first?
I can go first. Hey, thank you so much for sharing that update with us. The question I had for you was, can you talk to me more about your cross-browser capability improvement experience? What things are important when you're doing cross-browser testing?
For the cross-browsing testing, I have to check my website works on all browsers well, include as of course Google Drive. Gosh. So it works well on all browsers, except Explorer, because it does not work anymore. So yeah, just like this.
How do you determine which browsers to test?
Because we have tasks, and I know which browsers more important for our users, for our project.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that same subject of browser testing, have you looked into any tools that help out with browser testing? Do you know of any?
Do you mean from DevTools?
Not DevTools, but just regular products that help you with browser testing.
No, I don't know any.
Okay.
Or I just don't understand the question, I think. Yeah.
No, it's fine. So for example, there's Browser Stack, which is an actual product that you can use that provides you with many types of browsers and their different versions. So I was just wondering if you had the chance to experience some of those products.
No.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I'll go. What I'd like to hear from you is how you're using Xcode and Android Studio as testing tools. What's your experience with them, please?
I was used them when I studying on my manual QA course. I was my Android Studio was on my Windows machine, so I wasn't able to use Xstudio because I didn't have any Mac then. So it was my really one tool.
Okay.
Actually,
how did you use Android Studio? What were you using it for?
I just connected my phone with my computer and set up everything. So and I had like a screen of my phone on my computer and just work like this.
Okay.
Okay, so it's my turn. So thank you for being here and answering our spicy questions. I feel you're a little bit stressed already.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I will just probably ask a couple of maybe questions or suggestions about the resume. So I would try to like, as I mentioned before, like to be more specific about your like own skills and like in some areas. For example, I see phrases like "I'm really good with computers" or "I'm experienced computer user." Like if you're going to the like computer industry, I think it will make sense to like highlight exactly like what do you have experience in instead of like generalizing, because like maybe for if you work for a company where computers are not essential, like just I'm really good with computers is like well understood in that domain. But if you try to transfer your skills to the new area, I'm sure people will be like asking a lot of questions like, so what exactly did you do with computers? So,
okay, I will.
Yeah, try to be like a more specific and again, like if something was obvious in the previous industry, maybe there is like no point of bringing it to the new direction. Yeah, so that's like my feedback on the resume. So
Okay, thank you.
It's like, don't tell like why you are a good person, just show us how you are a good person.
I will get this when I got an experience, and yeah.
All right, I think let's do with a quick feedback, like one by one.
I can start. For me, because you are focusing at the moment in more of manual testing, and that's where you have had your experience, I would recommend that you not only just stay within that area, but within your manual testing, try and figure out what are some tools that can help your work easy, your tasks easy. And just so that you can recommend them, you can talk about it. A clear example is was the browser testing and different manual testing that you can do with different browsers and versions. So knowing that there are tools out there that would still be manual testing, but there are tools out there that can help you with those tasks, even if the company can buy them or the company cannot use them. you talking about them and being knowledgeable about the options can bring in a lot more, a lot more points to your interview.
Thank you.
I can go next. Cool. So I thought your resume, initially looking at it, it looks good, looks very clean, a lot of good white space. I like that. I would say probably stealing something from Chris from week one is to maybe break out your skills and testing tools between things you have experience with and things you are more interested in. I think it was good that you included your GitHub profile. I didn't look at it, but it's probably something you don't want to hide it at the bottom. You want to probably move it closer to the top of your resume, and then just be mindful of things that you're adding to your skills and testing tools. For example, you added JDK, which is fine, but I think when you have JUnit and Java listed there, JDK becomes not very important. And I would highlight that in one way as well. Like people will ask you questions from your resume. Some of those questions may be just to get you more comfortable. So they might be thinking, let me ask them something about the JDK. And if you're not very comfortable about it, then it turns into this opportunity to talk about yourself into something that's might be a little bit more challenging for you.
All right, thank you so much.
Since Adil stole pretty much what I was going to tell you, I'm going to hammer it home a little bit more on you. I asked my question specifically because I've seen a lot of resumes that look pretty much just like yours, which are really just a list of skills. Please don't do that. That's the best advice I can give you is listing out skills just generically gives me no idea what skill level you are. Listing in your resume how you use those skills will give me a much better idea, and it'll show a much better thought process when you submit your resume. Specifically, putting Xcode on your resume though and saying, well, I never installed it, and that calls into question everything on your resume for me now, because it's like, okay, we're just writing things on here for fun now. I don't know what's going on. It's a huge red flag for me. So be very careful what you put on your resume. If you don't have experience, as Adil mentioned, and I mentioned a few weeks back, mark it as an interest, right? That you don't have to explain interests. An interest in Xcode is saying, I like the iOS development platform. I have an interest in Xcode. I know it's used for building the applications, and it can be used for automation and all these other things, but I personally don't know how to do those things. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with you listing it as a skill when you've only had basic introductory knowledge of it, and like I said, it's a super risky move to put that on a resume. If somebody were to ask a question like, what's your experience with it, and you would reply the way you did, it would be an immediate not moving forward for me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you catch me.
Chris, you know what? That's actually a great point. For example, even I do have experience with Xcode on my first job, but it was 5 years ago. So I just remove it right now, because if anybody wants to explain me how you did it, I need to start remembering, like, okay, what did I do? And obviously it's
right, and
not relevant to anyone.
An easy way to kind of get around it would be Xcode or Android Studio even is used for building software applications, right? If you know enough to say, okay, I know how to use Bitbucket or Git or whatever, and pull the code down from a source code repository and compile it using Xcode, that's a valuable point. I might be able to use that skill in my role, but to not be able to say that means to me that you've probably not had enough experience with Xcode, and that it's only there to get past my screening filters. But again, an interest is different. You can put as many interests as you want. It tells me a lot about you, and it's a good thing. It means you're ready and willing to learn.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and probably like to add a couple of more cents on the skills and experiences, or skills and tools specifically. like you mentioned around 15 of them. And as I understand, the proficiency and usage level, it's really varies in your case from like technology to technology. If you want to still to mention some of them, don't like be shy to say like I feel that I'm experienced like 3 out of 10 on this thing. And as guys mentioned with Xcode, like if you use Xcode, or if you want to put it because it's you feel that it's attracting attention, yeah, you can say like for example, we have been working in the company where we didn't have any version of iPhone available, and not every company have all the iPhones on all sizes, and we used Xcode to simulate because we used like 5 Androids because we have Androids in our team, but we needed to like to see it on the iPad or iPad Pro, on the like iPhone Max, Note Max, and so on. So we use iCode to download the code and to emulate the device. That will be good enough. Like I know your user in this specific quality of the Xcode, and yeah, that's fine. Another type of advice, like I wouldn't like mention on this. Like I will definitely put some bright points to my summary. Like let's say that you mentioned in the end of your resume some profiles in the different coding competition or version control systems. Like if you feel passionate about them, or if you feel it's worth showing to people, let's say that you go to the like you mentioned in your resume that you're good with Java and JavaScript. Maybe I will pick the JavaScript and select like I don't know 20 problems to solve of the easy level and like 3 of the hard level. And you can show that like in the last like 3 months, I accomplished this and this. And because like you spend so much time in this particular month, you was, I don't know, in the top 50 in your location. Like some achievements that I would say quite easy to get because you just need to dedicate a little bit of your time, but it will be already some proven achievements. Just like I mean, versus posting the almost empty profile, that even those people who are interested and they will open, they wouldn't find anything like I would say positive there. So
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for your attention, for your time. Thank you. I will work.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will work on it. Thank you. Bye.
All right, let's move forward. Actually, I got several questions in the Q&A and in the chat. So basically people asking like why I'm not participating in this mock interview. I signed up this a while ago. So the process I described it's actually described in the meetup.com. So very easy. We have a waiting list for about more than almost 200 people right now. So we do weekly, every other week. So it's going to be on next Wednesday. We do onboarding session. So when you sign up for this mock interview, you should join to the Slack. It's actually in the sign up process as well. You should join to the Slack, and in the Slack you have to join to the mock interviews channel. And yeah, just follow this channel. We do onboarding session, and if you want to participate, you should participate in this onboarding session. So we give logistics and instructions, and we need to get your verbal confirmation that you are willing to do this, right? So yeah, it's a little bit more organization behind the scene, but guys, please don't be mad if you sign up for this mock interview session and you're not on the list. So just do this, go to the Slack channel, and we'll start from there. This Wednesday, I'll do again onboarding session. Okay. And now the question. Okay, let's move forward, and we'll keep the questions in the end. Candidate number 2, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, please mute yourself somewhere. you need to figure it out.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. Please share your screen. Okay, you have 20 minutes, and please tell us about yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Vera. I came from Ukraine 5 years ago to USA, and like little about me. I was actually like salesperson, and last my job was in Ukraine. It was manager, store manager, whereas sales team, and last job was it's like I started to work with mobile phone, with computer, and we installed programs. And I think, and why I need to sell if I can do more? And when I came to US, I changed like from sales to QA, and I started working. If you see in my resume, I lived before previously in Ohio, another state, and I started my uh, new like professional QA analyst, and I started testing. Like for me, it's like new life, like change and turn different way, you know. Yeah, it's like my um, started to work in QA professionally. And if you're okay, I can continue talk about my project. Like,
Please do so.
fine? Yeah. Okay. Um, First, what I did, like in a QA analyst, I learned about like a lot about QA assurance testing. We like testing like Amazon, eBay, like different websites. I started like verified backend system, but it was different tools which I use now in a new company, and I did like how do you say testing website like in performance in a previous job. And when I came to Los Angeles, I live in LA, and I started for this year January for a new company, and for me it's more deeper work because I started to work with Jira, like to do test case testing, different regression, system testing, different testing, and plus I started to work with SQL language, which working with database, and like I don't say like in my present job I will use most testing web application, like
You got muted, Vera. You got muted. Vera.
Can you please unmute?
Uh, maybe she did it on purpose. I don't know. Okay, let me try. Vera. No. Can you hear us? What?
grow up and
Hold on,
take.
hold on. Vera, you was muted for about like a minute.
Oh, so weird. Hello, do you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Sorry.
Don't start again, but
Sorry. I too much information give you. You don't hear me. Oh my goodness. Okay.
that's a mock interview, so that's a good thing.
I can repeat. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will tell mostly about my current job. I think you heard about my previous job. Now I do like mostly web testing web application, mobile application. Like sometimes I just try to be honestly. I'm not like professional level, but I use like Android Studio. But mostly I use web application, and I started to work with SQL testing application with communicated with database. And no, I had few times I helped testing like API, like testing you with like I working with API testing UI and see what happened in the back database. Like, but it was like few times. Why I say this? Because I can learn and grow up and take more like knowledge for me. I open for new opportunity like this. Yeah, maybe you have questions you can ask me. Maybe something missed.
Do you managers?
Yeah, I can go first. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It happens. Know that managers understand that technical difficulties happen. They're not gonna, at least the ones I know, at least the ones I'm pretty sure here, they're not gonna hold that against you. So don't worry too much about if technical difficulties happen. I would say. So the question I had for you was. You have mentioned that you did some back-end testing to ensure data consistency. Can you explain? Can you talk me through a test case where you're verifying data consistency?
Yeah, I use for API tools Postman, and I did like commands in the like back from database, you know. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned Postman.
Yes.
Postman talks at the API layer. As far as I know, Postman doesn't make database calls. So you used.
No. I use Postman for testing UI and see what happened in the back test database.
Okay, so you used another tool to verify the data in the database.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me an example of the type of data you were looking at in front end and verifying in the on the database side?
Well, 1 second. Like if you wanna like example, what exactly?
Yeah, I mean, what was the data you were looking at? Was it?
No.
I mean, for me, I work at a restaurant ordering platform.
Mm-hmm.
I might be looking up I might place an order, and then I might look up the order in the database to verify it's there. What kind of data were you looking at?
Like update we use mostly update information.
Okay, so in the database you're updating the information, or you're
we did update and search.
Update and search.
Mostly like, yeah.
Okay, so you update in the front end, and then you do a search on the database side.
Yes.
Do I have that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and what SQL command were you using to search for the data?
For in the database, for I mean API or database?
Database, SQL.
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 Like example, you mean a search, right?
Yeah.
No, okay. Like example, I will, if I wanna search something, yeah, I put get information, like some.
I think you're mixing the two. Get is what you're using for on the API side, Postman.
Oh, maybe.
If you were doing on the SQL side, you would do a select. You would do a select statement.
Yes, select statement. Yeah, it's no the select. It's yeah, it can be used in database to select.
Okay, awesome.
Because API it's get or put.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm nervous.
No worries. Don't be nervous.
So let's go with me then. So you have been working on your current project, current company for around 9 months. Before that, you listed another job where you have been working for 3 years as a QA analyst.
Yes.
And in that capacity, I'm interested to see how exactly you have been testing websites like Amazon.com did you find any bugs? Did you get some bugs fixed on the website, or you mean that you have been using the websites like Amazon.com?
We used like in the previous job, we used interface Amazon, and if we find it's like company, they have some project e-commerce, and when we testing Amazon our products, like our products in the Amazon, and if you see some problems, we did reports and we fixed it too. We didn't have like developer exactly, and we tried to fix it myself. Like we have like team four people and one manager. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Also, in the like list of the, I guess, QA duties or QA analyst responsibilities that you mentioned, you highlighted like answering on the marketing channels, publishing in the social media, increasing the sales. So how much of that job was really QA analyst of these 3 years versus like, what's your clean QA experience in that company for the 3 years?
It was like maybe 50% testing, 50% e-commerce.
Okay, I see. It's good for me.
I tried to be honestly how it was.
Okay. So you had mentioned you have SQL experience. Have you used tools like SQL Management Studio or something like along those lines for writing queries?
Yeah, but I started SQL in this current job.
Okay,
It's
but
not
you could write a query if you needed to.
I can, not like professional level, but I can.
Okay. Do you mind returning share screen to me? I'm going to share a technical example with you. Evgeny, can you pass screen share to me?
Okay. I need to stop share?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to juicy part.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Would you mind telling me a query? You don't have to write it out. Can you tell me how much Chris has spent?
How much?
Yep, just tell me how much Chris has spent. By the way, this is borrowed from an actual test that Protege runs. So.
Okay, I need to get information, right? From. Okay. What you said, Tia spent or what?
Yeah, how much has Chris spent? We'll say that this is the dollar amount that was spent column. Can you either describe the query or describe what you're doing out? Just think out loud to me so that way I kind of understand what's going on.
Okay, first I need to put insert. Insert, I have to be Russian by English. Inside different information.
It's totally fair. What I'm trying to do is kind of illustrate to you that these kind of tests do come up in interviews.
Yeah,
they come up a lot. So
age 317. No, insert. I need to put. We need to put insert or select.
I think you're trying to calculate using Excel.
But what? Maybe I don't understand what you want. Sorry.
No problem. So I'll walk you through it, and this will be. I guess we'll wrap this into my feedback, Evgeny. So we'll skip my feedback portion of it. So what I'm trying to get you to do here is to think about writing a SQL query as if this was one table and this is another table, right? So if you have experience, you should first be able to select Chris from the table, right? So we're gonna write Select
Select
Chris.
C4.
Wait, candidate number 2.
Oh, from users.
Sorry, I tried to throw this together very, very quickly so that I could do it. The table names didn't come across, so we'll call this one users. Does this look familiar though?
Yeah, but we did a little different. Okay. I need to learn more about SQL. Okay. I will
Sure.
tell the manager.
That's totally understandable, but you can see how I kind of, you had said it a lot when you were doing your introduction. Like, I've used SQL, I did a lot of backend stuff, so I want to make sure when you tell me that stuff that what level you are. And a lot of times what people will do is they'll do technical tests like this in order to get you on it. This is relatively easy. You don't even have to write a query to do it. You would just look, okay, so maybe there's 2 Chris's here, right? They have member IDs 1 and 7. So the first question you might ask that's relevant is, which Chris are we talking about? Chris W or Chris Wingood? So that you can tell from the transaction table how much they spent. So if we just wanted to do the first one, Chris W, we'd look at all the member IDs that match 1. So 2550 is 75. That's 125. And then looks like that's it. So 125 would be the answer to the query. Writing out the query would involve doing a join and doing all these things. And if you're experienced in SQL, you should be able to tell me these things. So make sure if you're writing SQL on your resume that you either describe what you do know about SQL or are able to kind of pick up on these key things. These are technical questions that do come up during the interviews.
Okay. I will. New focus SQL. Thank you so much.
Let's move with the feedback. Rocio.
Well, I think that all of the managers have given you pieces of feedback here and there as they were asking you questions. I'm just gonna close out with maybe just a small one. Maybe try not to use the word professional when you're saying, no, not at a professional level, because we're all professionals pretty much. If you're in the field, you are a professional. So maybe use words like beginner, intermediate, or advanced.
Okay.
Right, based on your level. Just because when you say not professional, it might just gave that the wrong connotation. And I know it's just a silly use of words, but be mindful of that.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you so much for coming. It definitely takes a lot of courage, and I know that it's not easy to have 4 or 5 people asking you questions and asking you all sorts of nitpicks or seeing all sorts of nitpicks on your resumes and on the stuff that you're presenting. So definitely great job.
Thank you.
Dil?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'd echo what Sio said. It's very courageous of you to come up here and answer these questions. So I would just say, if something is unclear, it's okay to slow things down, ask probing questions. And you'll usually find a good interviewer manager will try to do the same thing. They'll try to ask you questions or try to narrow down the problem a little bit more to make it easier. What I would just say, one feedback on your resume is there are some grammar mistakes. So something some tips were shared earlier. So use some of those tips to have those addressed, and and then just the final thing would be just be ready to get into this mindset that you're going to be asked. The questions you're being asked, try to connect them with your experience, try to connect them with end-to-end. You're thinking about them differently. ask questions. And I guess the final thing would be that, you have certain things listed under your summary of qualifications that are not making their way into your experience. Things like that you had talked about, mobile testing, API, they're not listed in your experience. So that could be for a manager or recruiter, anybody reviewing your resume even before you come in, that might be something that might cause them a pause because they wouldn't know what to make of it. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Then I will go next. So on the summary of qualifications, you have a lot of points. I would say some of the points are like pretty obvious or maybe unnecessary. Like I know a lot of people are putting it just to seems bigger. Like I'm a team player. I'm also really good in working. I'm a quick learner. I know English. It's like very popular point on the resumes, and I'm like, that's great because we are talking in English. So I would say like try to highlight the important things and maybe even deduct or I would say minimize the unnecessary things. Like on your previous experience, why I picked up on that, as I see you mentioned 2015, 2017. Well, I assume January 15 to December 17. So it's 3 full years of experience of QA analyst. But then it's like not really 3 years. It's maybe like 50% of the 3 years. And then we will discover that probably it was from December 15 to January 17. So it's only half of the 12 months. So it's totally different impressions, like 6 times difference.
Oh, okay, I got it. I need to put months. Okay.
Yeah, but like, what exactly was done there? So I see you did some marketing things, you did some other things, and you verified some bugs. Like if you like say honestly it was like 3 bugs, like then it's a different story. Or if you actually like filed 17 bugs and 8 of them have been fixed, 2 rejected, and 5 scheduled for the next release. That shows like some, I would say that you did the impact and you feel that not everything is getting what you're complaining about, because part of QA job is to complain even more than necessary. And somebody else will triage and decide if these mistakes are like worth fixing or they're fine. It's not worth from the cost perspective to fix these errors. So try like to highlight the technical things and what exactly was done. Like if you just like attended a couple of Scrum meetings with developers because you have been invited by dev manager, don't put that you have been using Scrum the whole way. Like it will be like uncovered quickly, and try to avoid the problem when you put too much, but you know only 10% of what you put confidently. The chance that interviewer will pick something and he will pick in the 90% that you just put because it's a good word, it's really high. And then you will not be able to stop the flow that like, oh, so all of this is fake, right? Try to avoid it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let me add some spice here. I think dear managers, they were all very nice to you. But to be honest, the whole impression was basically that, as just Sergey said, that all things that you were putting in your resume is basically, it's not true what you're trying to expose. So you wasn't able to answer like with the APIs, with the SQL clearly, like so everybody understand. And yeah, I understand that you are, I mean, this is very nervous process. Any interview is pretty nervous, but these kind of things you should be very confident to answer. If you're saying that you are proficient with SQL, or you're mentioning the SQL, or you're mentioning the API, don't think that you will be skipped on this question. You will be probably, and this is kind of screaming words, I would say. You want to be asked with this because you specify some technologies. So I was very curious. Okay, I looking for a person who knows SQL. How you gonna do this? Okay, tell me. And not just I just copy pasted. That's not the answer that everybody wants to hear. If you don't know, if you cannot answer within 3 how, remove it. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
This is kind of okay. Another thing, like we all feel like something is bullshitting here. Okay. So if you're not confident, please don't put it on your resume. We were talking about with the most common mistakes and and with the typos and with the things that you are not proficient, but you're putting in your resume. Please either do your homework or just remove it. Okay. I wish you good luck. And anyway, thank you very much.
I do want to say though, don't get discouraged. That's what this program, why we're trying to do it. These tests happen. It's good that you know beforehand. So I don't fault you in trying to get the experience on your resume, so that people will even take a look, because it's hard to get through the door. I worked at a company that was explicitly designed to filter out resumes based on criteria that qualified people for the jobs. If you can get in the door and know what you're talking about, you're just as entitled to the job as anybody else. So do, like Evgeny said, do your homework, learn the material. The experience is important, but it's not as important as most people think. I can train most people to do a QA job, and I'm sure all the other managers could do it just as well, from nothing. But the idea behind the experience is how much time a manager has to devote to that training. If you come with experience, we expect to not have to train you on certain things. If you can get your way through the interview by talking up your different skills and showing and demonstrating that you understand them, I can take a confidence level and a risk on you. Don't lie on your resume, and everything I think else kind of falls into place.
Okay, thank you so much. But you think about my candidate. I'm really good worker. I'm really safe. I'm not shy about it because
Hold on, that was just a feedback. That was just a feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Don't-
really think about my candidate. I will be a good person and a worker.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Candidate number 3, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let me put the timer.
Screen.
Please share your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen. All right. Please tell us about yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm candidate number 3 and I have 3 years of experience in software industry. So about my background, I was initially hired as a software developer, but after some time I realized that I really good in finding bugs. So I moved to from software developer to QA in same company. I worked there 2 years and then I moved US. Then I joined one company called Jet, and I worked there for 1 year, and now I'm looking for a job. So about my work experience, I wrote test plans, test cases, and initially I was a software developer, so I added some features, a project feature as per requirement in C language, and reporting and raising defects and debugging and fixing issues. I do have some knowledge of API testing using Postman. I added some test cases. I automated some test cases using Selenium WebDriver and Java.
Okay. Can you tell about your last project? What exactly you did?
Yeah, so my last project based on the cloud, and basically it integrates on-premises resource to cloud. So that which makes user more productive by providing a same identity. So there my responsibilities were like I created test cases from SRS document. I created test plans, and I creating test environment, execution test cases for new build, and adding test cases as per requirement. And then I wrote automation scripts in PowerShell to reduce that, which reduce time for regression to 200 cases to 3 hours. Then after then later I automated test cases in MS test framework using C#. So then I executed those test cases in TEF framework. Then my job responsibilities to send daily status report to team and participating in daily stand-up meetings, testing API using Postman. That's all.
Guys, follow-up questions?
Sure. Would you mind telling me your feelings, why you believe that the Scrum processes are important? So explain to me a little bit about what daily stand-up and the follow-up meetings are.
Yes. So that I mean this earlier we had some technologies like if you suppose you want to you made one product. I mean, after the customers required some features. Customer has given that they want this in this product, and we will develop this product. So after they will give some timeline that you have to complete this product in 3 months or 2 months, something. So then after some time, when we developed that product and we presented that product to customers, then customer will say that, yeah, we don't like this features like this and this. So this process is Scrum and Agile processes for it's like a one you will give release every 1 week to customers, and they can modify according to their requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Then I will start my question. So you mentioned that you have pretty good experience in the PowerShell and also with Linux and Windows. Did you have some experience also with Bash, with Terminal?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you please give me like 10 example commands that will work at the same time in the Bash and in the PowerShell?
So actually I use that ls command, ls and ls cd and mkdir, rmdir and cp to copy files, and yeah,
and
that's it.
About your experience of creating the PowerShell script, like which language did you use to create the scripts in the PowerShell?
That PowerShell is a scripting language, so I use that.
To create.
And basically, I used ls and cd commands for PowerShell scripting to see the files in a directory and go to another directory from other directory, cd.
Okay. Did you use like some GitHub or any other place to store your code and to download to the machine?
I use Git.
Okay. So can you give me an example of how would you pull the test cases from the GitHub to the new environment in Linux?
I will directly do git pull. If first I have to get the directory. I mean, if I have already set up the directory, I mean that directory, then I can use git pull to get the latest code from Git.
But if it's a brand new Linux machine and you just connected for the first time?
Then I have to, I have to do git manifest and git checkout. No, not git checkout, but I have to do git manifest, and I have to create a branch to pull that code. And
Okay, it's good from my side. Thank you.
What you mentioned that you were a developer before. In what language were you doing software development?
I worked in C language.
Okay. And have you if I were to ask you to write automation tests in Java,
Mm-hmm.
which libraries would you use?
Library.
Yeah, what would you use to write automation in Java?
So if it is unit test frame, if you want, I want to test unit. If I want to write an automation for unit test cases, then I will use JUnit. Simply, I will write a method, and I will call that method in JUnit. I will add that in JUnit library, and I will run that test case.
As a QA, what type of tests do you write?
So I wrote regression and performance.
Okay.
Functional
So
and
then,
non-functional, yeah.
all right. So then the test that you would be writing would be functional, right? Not
Yeah.
unit tests?
Yeah, unit test is also one type of functional testing. So
Say that again?
unit test also is a type of functional testing.
All right. So let's go a little bit deep into that. So can you maybe name me the different types of tests that you think you can do to an application? So you said unit.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
So unit testing is basically to check the basic functionality of code, which mostly developers write test cases for that. And regression, we can write regression test cases. So
Okay.
regression to check the functionalities of whole application. If there is a new, if somebody has added new features, then you want to check, if you want to verify that all the features are existing feature and new features are working fine or not. And the testing types are like a sanity testing, stress testing, load testing.
Okay. Thank you.
Should I go into feedback, or you want me to ask a question? I do have a question I'm happy to ask.
You can do both.
Okay, well, sounds good. So I know you mentioned you've done testing using REST API. Did you automate API tests?
No, I automated test cases. So I use that REST APIs to get the resources of Microsoft Graph.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you okay, sounds good. Well, I'll move into feedback. I think first thing that pops out to me, I think you've kept your skills really tight. The skills section, you have chosen not to mention a lot of things that you you may not be able to speak to, maybe necessarily. Like I see, like you had like Android and iOS mobile applications, but you haven't necessarily called out Xcode and Android Studio because
Actually, I do have experience in testing testing applications of iOS and Android, but I don't have any experience in operating system.
Okay, cool, sounds good. I would say that you had mentioned that you used to be a software developer before. You haven't listed that experience in your resume. I think it's still very relevant because it's still engineering, still software. And in your intro, you spoke about using C, and then there was a follow-up question around that as well. I wouldn't be afraid to list it and add it to your resume, because I think that is still relevant. Something to keep in mind when you are, when you have automation experience and you are interviewing, you want to, at least for me, like two main parts of that interview question will be, will be like a system design question, would be like walking me through, I might give you a hypothetical situation and walking me through like how you would automate that. And then as we have that conversation, dig a little deeper. So make sure you're prepped for that. And the other one is obviously, some sort of coding exercise. So something you want to look out for. There aren't a lot of necessarily like grammar mistakes, but there are some capitalization stuff you can improve on. As an example, under your skills listed IntelliJ, but the I is not capital. Just those things, when you're working on it, because you're working on your resume so much, they don't pop out. But when somebody else is looking at it, like a hiring manager, like those things pop out, because maybe we see those things every day. And I could be wrong.
IntelliJ have a lowercase I though?
That's what I was saying. Maybe I'm not aware,
Okay.
And that's okay too. IntelliJ is lowercase I.
It's uppercase I.
Yes, it is.
I'll take your word for it. I use PyCharm, so
There's that one too.
sounds good. And then I guess the final thing is you wrote expertise in testing REST APIs with Postman. I would change that wording a little bit, because if you write you're an expert in a tool and not be able to answer or be able to talk about automation in Postman, something there needs to be improved. Maybe write out the sentence that you use Postman for making calls and not necessarily automation, but something to call out, because there will be follow-up questions, especially if the position you're applying for is API focused around automation, and if you're unable to answer them, it's not going to reflect well.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Nice. I can go next. Great job. Thank you so much for coming. For me, really, it is confusing for someone who's interviewing you when you can have a straightforward way to answer basic concepts, like what is unit test, functional test, what are the differences on that. I felt like we somehow got to that based on previous questions that I asked you about libraries and what technologies you would use. So make sure, and just because, when you get nervous, it's really hard to think on the fly. So make sure that you have all the quality concepts very crisp and very, have a quick answer and know the differences between all these concepts, know them, very well. That will definitely help you get the interviewers to focus on the technologies that you're talking and your skills, etc., and not doubt that you don't know the basic concepts. So just a tip, just make sure that you can get those definitions and those concepts very crisp. You can even, just create a cheat sheet, make sure different people have different types of memory. If you have photographic memory, if you need to write things down, like whatever it is, just make sure that you have all your QA concepts very crisp in the back of your head.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the feedback I'm going to give is overall a great job. I would say that confidence is probably the biggest thing right now that you probably could work on. But honestly, what I could give you is that I don't think, or at least No, I'll just say this. I don't think anybody will ever give you an interview that's as intimidating as this one, sitting in front of 5 people. So go forward from this, realizing that it's all up, it's all downhill from here, because it's like it should be really easy, but really just hammer your terminology home. Just as it was mentioned, I think that you'll do pretty well. It was pretty clean, I think.
Okay.
Yep, and I want to add the terminology both in the explaining your experience and maybe putting it in the resume, because some things as creating PowerShell scripts just caught my eye. What exactly you create in the PowerShell for the automation, and as I understood, you have been using PowerShell as a tool to get to the directory to run your test, like a runtime environment or running agent. That's why try to separate experience that you actually used and changed, like a editor, like a developer, versus I'm just like a user as a consumer of technology. So I'm using Git to store test cases and get them to the different machine. It's a one experience. Or I'm using Git to create my own webhooks. And when something happens in the Git, my CI/CD is continuing to other steps. Now you're using the Git as a building block of your big chain of automation events. So try to separate those things, because they do matter in how much value this line on your resume brings to the general picture about your experience.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's move forward with candidate number 4. And guys, we are pretty tight on time. I'm not sure if we can make it on with the 5th candidate. Are you guys good with staying 20 more minutes?
I can make it an extra 20. It's not a big deal.
Okay, thanks. All right, candidate number 4. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm getting that shown right now.
All right, let me
Okay.
hit the timer, and please tell us about yourself.
Okay, thank you guys. Hi, I will say my name is Josh. First, I want to thank you guys, each of the hiring managers, for offering their time today. I know it's Saturday, so other things you could be doing, right? I'm a husband, a father of 2, about to be 3 boys come November. When I'm not learning or working on a project, I spend my free time with my family. Mainly, my jobs have been in technical support, and then recently more production and manufacturing as my kids have come around. Previous jobs I've had have all been great, but with my family and growing, I really need a stable, well-paying career that will allow me to keep learning, and allow me to advance as I keep learning, kind of go hand in hand. I've been teaching myself mainly front-end web development, so HTML, CSS, and JavaScript mainly, and foundationally. Really on and off since before my kids were born, but really this past January, when we found out my newest one was coming along, I've been hitting it hard, kind of buckled down and gotten a portfolio created. I had a good friend who went a similar route and had very good success, who kind of pushed me to go a similar way. So that's what I'm trying to do, and again, I appreciate you guys spending the time and doing all this for us. It's really good. I've already learned quite a bit from what you guys have said, so thank you.
Okay, can you tell a little bit about your last experience?
Yeah. So
last project
since January,
maybe that you want to share with us.
Yeah, I was just going to say so since January, I've been mainly doing this as a full-time job. My task has been to create 3 to 4 good looking projects that I can put on my portfolio to demonstrate my understanding of the front end development tools. So it's been 6 days a week from when my wife gets off work at 3 till 10:30, 11 at night. My main focus has been JavaScript. That's been the most really confusing thing for me, and the most thing I haven't been able to understand the best. But I'm working on my project right now that it manages and tracks different trips for agents and travelers by consuming and posting data to an API. So it's just like an API project. I guess it's similar to what I think like businesses would use. So I'm trying to get in the framework of using that and, you know, applying that knowledge. I have used a little bit of automated testing, like very small amount, mainly when I heard about this thing. I wrote a small thing for my project with Cypress. It's just a small little automated thing that tests the login functionality for it. But I plan on using it further once I get further along in my project, just testing the functionality of different things that I can test. I'm still kind of learning the basics of it. But I pair with my mentor and we go over what I've written for the week as far as coding. And then the JavaScript, we refactor, you know, to understand the higher order of things. And it's been like the most humbling experience and the most frustrating thing also, because we'll go back over it and, you know, completely redo what I've written over a week in, you know, a span of 2 to 3 hours, and really having to get in the habit of understanding why that's necessary and why the logical, you know, logical step or the logical, you know, logical answer to the problem is the logical answer to the problem, and why that might not be my first, you know, guess to be that. So all in all, I have my portfolio done. I'm just working on this last project right now. My previous jobs have required like strict attention to detail. I was in like precision optics, which we dealt with like microns as far as like filtering our slurry to polish the optics we were doing. And we also dealt with like waves as far as wavelength and light, how the light came off and on the different pieces we were making. Also, with the past year, I've been able to become a kindergarten and first grade teacher, you know, being a parent. So that has required immense patience and, you know, really trying to balance my work and projects with my kids and being able to, you know, make sure I'm there for them and do what they need to have done. So I'm sure we're all kind of going through similar things with that. But that's been my main project this past year, just kind of trying to get my foot in somewhere and do all I can. You know, I enjoy working really hard, but I want to make sure that the time that I spend working is going to be, you know, worth my time, and I'm able to keep moving up as I learn more. So hope that wasn't too crazy and all over the place, but yeah, that's the gist of it. Thank you, guys.
Okay. I'll do a quick feedback before we're moving with our questions. Your resume, I would tailor it to specific position that you're applying. For example, this session is specifically for QA engineers or QA analysts or anything which is related to QA. So you have a pretty interesting experience, prior experience. And I would emphasize specifically, and I will, as Rocio said, like you should tailor your resume for specific positions. And okay. As I see that you are also exposing interest to software development, and you want probably to apply for software development positions like junior, you have to do the same thing. And by the way, on October 3rd, which is next month, we're going to have also mock interview sessions for actually software developers for front end.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Back end. Yeah. Yeah, guys, please go ahead with feedback or questions that you might have.
Sure. So that was actually going to be my question, Evgeny. You stole it a little bit, but the question that would follow from this resume is why were you looking into the QA field? If that's true that you are looking more for a software engineer position, I obviously wouldn't be interviewing you because I'm not qualified from a software development language perspective. I do automation in some languages, but I wouldn't be qualified to actually give you a thorough testing on software development. So if you don't mind answering that question, if you are or not interested in the QA, I'll just pass my turn, but give you some general feedback.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I don't want to be wasting anyone's time. I don't want to be like disrespectful to anyone. I know, you know, everyone here has worked very hard to get where they are. You know, in reality, I would be comfortable anywhere I could get in and learn and work, to be honest. So I'm not actively looking for a QA position. That's only because I haven't been actively learning the, you know, foundations of QA. I have been, you know, learning, I guess, you know, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. But as far as the QA goes, my, you know, small understanding of that is, you know, everything needs to be tested. You have to find the bugs in everything that you write. And so my little experience with my login form with that, you know, just testing the functionality of, you know, how many characters are you going to allow to be inputted in there, or what type of characters are you going to allow for your password to be inputted. You know, I know that's very, very small understanding, you know, if it's an understanding at all, but, you know, just trying to reference what I do know in comparison to the QA, you know, world. So.
Well, that's great. Then what I'm going to do is I'll give you two kind of words of advice, which is
Cool.
the first of which is just as you move into software development, remember that the QA people aren't your enemies. We're here to try and make the best product together. So developers and QA work together all the time. The more you get to understand about both processes, the better you'll be in either.
Okay.
So that would be my first kind of bullet there. The second one, I really appreciated your backstory, but be careful. There are a lot of red flags. Legally, nobody can discriminate against you because you have a family, but there are people who can, and it's hard to kind of address that, but you were very family focused, which I love, but understand that not everybody does, and it's illegal for them to do it, but it does happen. So just be aware, when you say that you have family, to some people that means that you're busy. And it's wrong.
I can understand that.
But just be careful is all I would say to that. Keep your story focused on your work, more so when you're doing your interview. It protects both of us, honestly, from a management perspective. That was the first thing I wrote down was like, uh-oh, now I have to be super careful when I'm giving this guy feedback because I don't want to get into a legal loophole when I'm trying to give him honest feedback. Because I don't want him to come back and sue me or the company because he thought that I took it as, oh no, he doesn't have enough time for this job because he's focused on too many other things. So,
okay. No, understandable. Thank you.
But just I love that you're a family man. It's awesome in my opinion, but not everybody shares that, unfortunately. So
yeah,
I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being honest about that, man. It's understandable.
Okay, I guess I will go next. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for presenting your story to us, and I would say that try to tailor your resume to the position that you are going into. You have a lot of previous experience to work with, and to highlight some pros why the previous experience is relevant to your new transition. So. I'm sure in different companies you faced with, I don't know, maybe if you're going for the quality engineer that you faced with quality issues and you found this and this stuff is not working and you reported it to the quality control department and they fixed it. It was not your main job, of course, as any position in the past, but you have been showing the skills of quality control in software and in non-software ways. So it's a good quality to highlight if you're going to QA position, for example. If you're going to the developer, yes, definitely it's about maybe creativity, maybe using building blocks to create something more, something that other people will appreciate and enjoy. And eventually we're all doing this at any work to some degree, building something for others. So it's also can supplement your main drive. On the first summary, I noticed, so you mentioned that you're teaching yourself some technologies and you'll be excited to learn from other developers about their experiences. I would say it's a perfect pitch, perfect summary for I would say the screening person for the bootcamp, because they're looking for people who are self-learners and they're looking for people who are ready to learn from others. So
okay, so that's good. So that's something good to have on my resume that I already have, or
if you're applying as a student to the bootcamp,
Ah, I see. I see. Understandably, yeah. I'm not really like setting myself up to looking as like a developed like engineer. I understand.
Yeah, if you're going to the company and you're saying, hey guys, I will come to your company and I will learn everything from you. And they will feel like, but what about us? Will you give us something as well? Or you just only learn from us? So like,
Right.
like think about it, like what for them from you in this collaboration.
Okay.
Another line that you mentioned in the end, in the end of the summary, that you're authorized to work in the US for any employer. And this is very like a sticky phrase because it's often used for the like clearance or like TS clearance, top secret. So unless you mean that you can actually work for any level of clearance for any US government jobs, I wouldn't put the word any employer because it's
Okay.
brings the wrong attention.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I can go next. I just agree with a lot of the feedback before, so I'll just highlight. I thought the look and design of your resume was really good. It was very clean. A lot of good use of white space, like the font. So you know, you can use that, but as others have mentioned, you know, customize it for the positions that you might be applying for. You know, you have almost like a page and a half of experience that if you're applying for whether it's software engineer, QA engineer, those things aren't super relevant. Kenny had a really good feedback on that, but overall, I think the resume does look good.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think I have much to add. Echo on all the feedback that you were given, and thank you so much for coming in.
Cool. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for their input.
Thank you. Okay, candidate number 5, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, great. Please share your screen.
Is everyone able to see the resume?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Okay, please tell us about yourself.
Hi, how's everyone today? I'm pleased to meet everyone. Thank you for taking the time to meet me today. My name is Mohad Laik. I've been in the field of, you could say, software quality assurance and testing about a couple of years now. I've been working as a manual tester and performed some automated testing on Windows. And the testings were done on web-based application and client-server applications. I'll say I never knew that I wanted to do a profession as when I grew up as a tester. I want to do work with. What I did was I just knew that I wanted to work with computers because that was my hobby. My siblings started working towards that field, so I started exploring, towards testing and various applications, and started doing on my own. I started writing writing user stories, test cases, some defects, feedbacks, um, defect reports, feedbacks, and etc. I guess that's about it. Yeah.
Can you tell us about your recent or last project that you was working on?
Yeah, sure. So my recent project or last project, the project called CHAMPS, which stands for Community Health Automated Medicaid Processing System. It was designed for Maryland State Medicaid Management Information System. It was a web-based application that manages Medicare and Medicaid for low-income people for the Maryland states. And the system we worked on has several systems like provider claims, benefits, financials, administrations, and etc. As a tester, what I've done in my daily QA career was I would review and analyze requirement documents and make sure the documents are unique, precise, not ambiguous, and they were testable. I was reviewing the documents. As I was reviewing them, I also contribute creating assessments with the QA lead. Throughout the so we had a agile process. Throughout the sprints, I would work on developing and analyzing test cases. What I would do is communicate with the team or the client to make sure the user requirements were while the validate user requirements while the developers were writing the codes. Have reading defects. Once I find the defects, I'll report them in the Jira. This is pretty much what I've been doing as a tester.
Guys, you have any follow-up questions?
Yeah, I can go first. I think it's because it stands out to me a lot. Your resume is in landscape.
Okay.
That's
Actually, I don't know if you can see it from the bottom.
Yeah. No, I mean I have it.
Okay.
Paper version where personal information has been redacted, but I would say that's unusual. So it's unusual enough that I would recommend switching to back to what's the other one? Non-landscape.
Vertical.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think for you've been in QA since 2016. I think you can also because you're using landscape, you're using a lot of real estate on your resume. You can probably condense your resume. So check out a different format, and you can probably condense it down to 2 pages, which would be easier to review. Yeah. Having said that, I think looks to me like you've put a lot of care and thought into all of the sentences, giving a little bit more insight into the experiences you have chosen to highlight. Cool. So for my question, I would ask, you've mentioned strong experience in database / backend testing. Does backend testing include API testing?
Does the backend testing? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your preferred tool for API testing? If you had an API to test, which tool would you pick?
For API testing, so we used MySQL.
MySQL for API testing?
Sorry. Can you repeat that? Sorry, I just couldn't hear.
Yeah. So I'm asking about API testing. Which tool would you? What is your preferred tool for API testing?
Preferred tool?
Yeah. So maybe I'll give you
if you can just
from your own resume. Yeah. You have mentioned SOAP UI.
SOAP, okay, web, yeah.
Yeah. Have you used SOAP UI before?
I don't recall it. I did. It was a while back.
Okay.
Long time ago, but I just don't remember.
Yeah.
But currently we're working on I'm using MySQL for backend testing.
Okay. So I don't know, maybe you didn't hear my question correctly, but it's, and I think this is for everybody. Like, it's perfectly okay to say, no, you don't understand something, or you don't have experience in something. You don't always have to say yes, because when I asked you, did backend testing include API, you said yes, and and then you also have SOAP UI listed on your resume. So backend testing can mean a lot of things. It could simply be, my backend testing was focused around just database testing, and that would have been a totally acceptable answer. but saying yes and then also having SOAP UI on your resume and then saying you didn't use it for a while, those are things you want to, just a couple of areas of feedback on that.
Sure.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Chris?
Sure. I was waiting to see if anybody else was going to unmute, but I'll go. So with COVID, one bullet point stood out to me directly. You wrote under qualifications that you had the ability to work independently with minimal supervisions, establish priorities, meet project milestones, and deliverable dates. Can you tell me what that means to you and how, as a business, that is important?
If you don't mind, could you repeat that one more time, just
Sure.
to understand?
The last bullet point on your first page here says that you have the ability to work independently. Can you tell me why that's important to me? What benefit do I get out of your ability to work independently?
I would say
maybe can you explain like how did you work independently and what was the benefits of that?
I would say okay, as a current situation right now with the pandemic, since right now that no one can go at the office and work with the team. I would say
yeah, I mean,
okay. Yeah, what I'm looking for to kind of give you full circle feedback on that is that, well, it's great that we can work independently and trust each other to do that. How does that relate back to the tools necessarily that we need to work independently but still together as a team, right? So understanding the relationship of independence and teamwork in our current situation, which is that indeed we cannot go back to the office, but how do we still work together if we're so far apart? And you being able to explain that situation of like, yeah, I can totally work by myself, but teamwork is also important, and stressing that too is also, it's almost like a counterpoint to the point in that in this era, it's kind of a weird sticky point that I do need somebody that can work independently, but they also need to understand when it's appropriate to reach out and how to reach out and things like that.
I guess you have to communicate with the team members and understand what's project or the task you're working on, and getting as much as help from them, and then understand what's the process going. So that way, I guess you have the understanding of working as an independent. But if you don't know if you don't know what's happening, then I would definitely communicate with the team members.
Okay, thank you.
Rocio, Sergey.
For me, the most straightforward feedback that I can give you is to make sure that if you're listing items on your resume, that you definitely know them and you can answer to them. And again, like we had said before, we do understand that the market out there is tough, but can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, make sure that you are listing if you're listing something, you better know it, because that was definitely a huge turn on for me.
Okay, and some feedback from me actually on this page that you're currently showing. on your oldest position as a QA test analyst, and you have a lot of bullet points, like I believe more than 15. And some of them are saying the same things in other words. Like I attended these meetings with QA people, or I participated in periodic meetings with QA people to solve the problems and to lead to solutions. Or I met with developers to fix the bugs. Like, isn't it the same, like just in 3 different ways to say it? And I understand that it looks more massive, but to be honest, it doesn't add significant value to your resume. Like if you have like 4 pages or you have 9 pages, but you just like bring more stuff, it doesn't like necessarily like increase the value of that experience in your application to be candidate for the new work. Also on the first page in the objective, I noticed that it should be like a summary of your skills. Like if you scroll to the first page.
Okay.
Yeah. In the objectives that I would read it as a summary. I first of all noticed like, hey, it's like a super long 1 sentence. And then I noticed, no, actually it's super long 2 sentences. But it's like hard for me to grasp what exactly you're trying to say, because it contains like 40 different adjectives. Motivated, technical, experience, knowledgeable, expertise. I would be like, maybe it's fine to have a much smaller, much concise resume, but to talk about things that you are proud of or you can defend. Because especially like in this landscape view, so how I see resumes. So candidates are coming with resumes in all different formats. It can be PowerPoint, it can be Word, it can be PDF, and sometimes there's like a special logs PDF that you can only preview it, or like in the viewer mode. So to avoid this problem and to avoid opening like bunch of tools and downloading a bunch of stuff to your downloads folder, our recruiters are giving to us resumes in the Slack as attachment. And we just see them in the preview mode. So if you like see in the preview, it might look quite different from what you expect if you open it like or print out. So be careful with like custom and unusual layouts or images or any fonts that it can be simply not opened in the preview mode. Yeah, that's my feedback.
Okay.
I had one more thing. Just wanted to finish with that. I would say I think it sounds like you had really thought about your intro, but something we didn't emphasize in this session today. I think we've done it in previous sessions. That's super important. It's rehearsing your intro, being very comfortable with your intro, and having it come off well. It really helps to set the pace of the interview. It helps to build a connection and rapport with the interviewer. So the advice for everybody and also for you is to just rehearse that, and so it comes off. The flow of it comes off.
Thank you. Sure.
All right, thank you very much, candidate number 5. You
Thank
can
you.
stop share the screen. Let me mute you as well. All right, guys, so let's do a quick summary of the whole session number 3. I think that was very, very useful, specifically for people who is actually on the job market. Guys, if you just can take 10% of those piece of advice that we got here, you should be able to land the job. But you know, the interesting thing in defense of our candidates, I can tell you, like, I was talking to them on the onboarding session, and you know, I realized that interview sucks in general, because those people in reality, they are not the same as in the interview, and they perform totally different. And I was thinking, okay, they should hammer it, like they should kick our asses on this interview. But you know, that's a different thing. I think doing the job and doing the interview, it's as I said, it's completely different thing. Yeah, but the most common mistakes are still occurs. It's still there, right? So typos, things on the resume that you cannot defend or you cannot talk about. What is your output, guys?
Sure. So I want to again thank everybody that did show up. Like I said earlier today, it gets easier from here. You're never going to have an interview that's this intense with 5 people and an audience on the internet. Like I don't know how much more intense we could possibly make this, but really I think my takeaway, Evgeny, is probably a little bit of a homework for you. I'd like to maybe introduce the actual like job titles to the roles that they're interviewing for, so that we can start giving more diverse feedback, because this is my second one, and maybe you guys have done, I know Adil's been in at least 2. I missed the last one, so I apologize for that. But being able to give more concise feedback on the roles that they're applying for would help us as managers a little bit, because there's a big difference between what I would test somebody who's trying to do manual testing versus automation testing, and different levels of seniority. As we move forward with this, I'd hope that we kind of move away from telling people that they have typos in their resume. So all the people clamoring in the chat that they want to be part of the next experience, please grammar check, install Grammarly, it's free. Do that on your resume, and then have at least 1 or 2 people look over it, because while I do feel that it is a benefit for people to hear it over and over again, I honestly think we can get to more beneficial feedback if we filter those out beforehand.
I got an idea, actually, Chris. I suggest the next mock interview session to dedicate to test automation positions. And I think that would be interesting. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Right? Okay. Sergey, Adil, Rocio, what do you guys? Just few words.
Yeah, I can go next. I think a couple of, like, one thing that stood out with this session was definitely, I think folks can look at the format of their resume. I know, like, that can be improved. You can use your real estate better. You can highlight things that you want, things that you want to go first. The other one I think was really important is to customize your resume a little bit for each position. Doesn't have to be a huge change from position to position, especially if it's within QA engineering you're focused on, or automation, but customize it a little bit. So you're making, at that point, you're making the recruiter and the hiring manager's job easier, because when they're reviewing what you look at in the job description are kind of things that they are looking for in their resume as well. They see those points, it makes it easier for them. Having said that, I totally understand, we spoke about it a little bit, that there are job postings out there, which is, like ridiculous amount of skills listed. So there is definitely a balance. I think those would be, a couple of important takeaways.
I would say definitely this was fun, and thank you for having me. But definitely the biggest advice that I could give everybody in general from what I have seen from the interviews today is because there is nervousness in interviews all the time. And I know it from personal experience, English not being my first language, words just get so much complicated when you're under pressure. To really practice, have a script. That doesn't mean that you have to act robot-like during an interview, but have bullet points that clearly outline what you want to communicate. Because thinking on the fly is not always going to work if you're under pressure. And yeah, like Chris keeps mentioning, this is the worst that it could be at an interview with so many people looking at you and, you know, having it being broadcast on Facebook. But it can only get better from here. And with, you know, rehearsing and having, like I mentioned, some bullet points for what you're trying to communicate could really enhance that experience for you in an interview.
Cool. Thank you, Rocio. Okay. Sergey, you want to add something?
Yeah. So to all candidates, like, thank you for dedicating your time. It's definitely like a learning experience, and I would say for all people who are watching us, try to get like some advices and like take a look on your own resume. I know it's very hard to ask somebody else to look on your resume before actually applying, because you think like it's my resume, everything is good, I like it because I wrote it. But you will be like surprised like how many things some people are like too shy to say to you, like, hey, you have a typo there, or today one of the resumes like in the end of the sentence have a comma. Like, I didn't want to mention because it's a small thing, but I would say like give it a try. Like, talk to your friend and like, hey, can you please read and like say if it makes sense. They can, like, from the goodwill, they can find a lot of good things and advices for you. So don't be shy to ask for feedback.
Totally. All right, guys, thank you very much. There's a couple questions in the Q&A section. Like I was looking for dev market interview in particular. So we do mix. Right now is for QA. As I said, on October 3rd, it's going to be for developers. Yeah, so please join. And again, if you want to join to the next session, you need to fill out the application, join to the Slack, and participate in onboarding session. That's pretty much it. 3 steps that you should do. If you're not in Slack, but you just fill out the application, so you're not there yet. If you fill out the application and join to the Slack, but didn't participate in onboarding session, you're not there yet as well. So you have to follow all 3 steps. All right, guys. I don't know. Chris, Adil, Rocio, Sergey, thank you very much for your time. I hope it was very valuable, and I think it is very valuable for all of us. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you next our interview session. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.